Why James Cameron's Avatar is not anti-military, Part 4. In Part 3 of this lecture, we have already discussed many of the positive military approaches seen in James Cameron's Avatar. We discussed in some detail how the SecOps military handled Pandora's hostile environment, as well as discussed many of Jake Sully's military approaches toward the Na'vi, most of which happen to be the very qualities of our armed forces personnel that are embodied in the film. In the third part of this lecture, we will discuss a new perspective, or outlook, on the film concerning the military aspect. You see, our perspective of Avatar would change for the better if we could see, and yes, that's supposed to be a play on the word see from how the Na'vi use in that context, that the film challenges us to discern the values and approaches of the United States Armed Forces, especially the United States Marine Corps. Now, throughout the film, you will witness a demonstration of the virtues of courage, tenacity, and respect for one another between Jake Sully and Colonel Quaritch. Such demonstrations extend through their friendship and even as enemies in combat. As for Marines, they take each other seriously because what can make a Marine inspire you or pose as a formidable threat to you is their ability to combine bronze with brains and utilize both these faculties effectively. This effective combination of both faculties enables a soldier, especially a highly trained soldier, to fight, evade, and if he can, vanquish his opponent while minimizing as much as possible the chances of losing combat effectiveness too quickly, as well as being captured and defeated too quickly. And this is assuming, of course, that a soldier has, and still maintains, the natural instinct to preserve his own life and the lives of his comrades in arms. That being the case, this would be the reason why Major General James Nicholas Mattis of the Marine Corps asserted eloquently, "There is no better friend, no worse enemy than a United States Marine." It is also of great interest to note that another virtue of a military man that is portrayed in the duel between Jake Sully and Colonel Quaritch is one of letting your worthy adversary recover himself during a duel in his moment of vulnerability. And I think that pertains to the virtue of respecting your adversary in combat. In fact, there is even a scene in the film where Colonel Quaritch has his comically large knife stuck in the windshield of his AMP suit, and he needs a moment to recover himself before resuming the duel. And fascinatingly, this moment lasts for 30 seconds. 30 seconds! And yes, I actually timed that part. In a space of 30 seconds of vulnerability on the Colonel's part, Jake Sully could totally kick this guy's ass at any moment. He could have dealt a single blow to Colonel Quaritch that would literally knock him off his feet while he was vulnerable. I mean, consider the dire situation the Colonel is in. He's got a comically large knife stuck in the middle of his AMP suit windshield, and when he pulls it out, he's got to hold his breath because the toxic Pandoran atmosphere is leaking into his pilot cabin. He's got to eject his windshield because it's so cracked and penetrated that he can barely see anything. And he's got to strap on his exopack respirator before focusing on his adversary again. But in that part, Jake Sully seems to hold back for some reason. Now, I'll bet some people will interpret this part of the movie to be part of film drama. Oh yes, the audience needs some kind of break, and we need a moment to recover ourselves. Others, I suspect, will think Jake Sully is a fool to let this window of vulnerability slip from his avatar hands. But as I pointed out, Jake Sully and Colonel Quaritch were former friends. Even as enemies in combat, they still hold some measure of respect for each other. The fact that Jake Sully let his opponent recover during the duel, rather than ruthlessly take advantage of his opponent's window of vulnerability, should indicate at the very least that he still holds some respect for a worthy adversary of his.